Hello and welcome to this episode of One-on-One Sports. I'm Andrew Vendelis.
And I'm Matt Holzapfel. Let's jump right in with the quick hitters. Last Monday, Saints quarterback Drew Brees broke the all-time NFL passing yards record with a 62-yard touchdown to Traquan Smith. Andrew, where does Brees rank among all-time NFL QBs, and is he this year's MVP?
He is a top 5 quarterback of all time, and he's been the dark horse of the NFL for a long time. Stats don't lie. Super Bowl 44 MVP. All-time leader in passing yards, as you mentioned, 11-time Pro Bowler and counting. But without a doubt, he's one of the greatest of all time. MVP, I'm not quite sure.
I don't understand how he's so underrated. People talk about their top quarterbacks. You hear Manning, you hear Rodgers, you hear Brady. Why is Drew Brees so left out? He's the best deep ball accuracy quarterback of all time. He is almost every record. He's set passer rating records. He's set yards records, touchdown records. He holds so many major records, and he holds even more when he retires.
I say 3 things that are certain in life: death, taxes, and drafting Drew Brees in fantasy football.
Absolutely. I know I did.
And I think he's a good lock for MVP, but he is one of the favorites. But with Mahomes in the running, Todd Gurley could make a case. Brady's always on the radar. I don't think he's an absolute shoo-in for MVP.
You just can't overlook these 0 interceptions. He's the last quarterback with no picks. It's astonishing because even Mahomes has 3 now. Drew Brees is great. He deserves MVP consideration.
And after a shaky start against the Bucs, the Saints are now at the top of the NFC South. Nothing but up for them.
Absolutely.
It would appear that Jimmy Butler and the Minnesota Timberwolves saga will be rolling right into the start of the season. Last Wednesday, Butler showed up at the Timberwolves practice and took a third-string team to a victory over the first team. Along the way, Butler targeted many in the organization, including GM Scott Layden, saying, "You expletive need me. You can't win without me." Matt, is Jimmy Butler wrong for doing this?
Absolutely not. He requested a trade at the beginning of the offseason, didn't get one, and he has so many problems with the Timberwolves that are so warranted. The other players in the organization don't hustle like he does. He's treated like a third fiddle. He's the best player on the team. No reason Wiggins and Towns should be in front of him. He's their best player, and he's right. They do effing need him because he's very good, and he's their best player.
I agree with him 100% as well. It's frustrating seeing the situation go down like this. And he said what we all were feeling. He knows he's not the most talented on the team or has the best potential, but he's a key component to this team. He has the most drive. He is the most passionate about this team. And without him, they probably wouldn't make the playoffs. He made a statement, and I stand by it 100%.
I agree that he is. He's the hardest working on this team. And when you say that, look, we want to trade you, but we'll just keep you. I agree that they should try to work things out with him with Scott Layden and Coach Thibodeau. But you got to give him more. He deserves more. He's working the hardest, and we saw it when he beat their first team with a team full of third stringers. He needs respect.
Butler just getting the short end of the stick here in Minnesota.
Yeah, it's disrespectful. I hate to see it. Late last week, the UFC issued suspensions for both Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov following their brawl after their fight in Las Vegas. Both fighters received letters informing them of their suspensions, which is said to last just 10 days. And is that enough as a punishment for these two guys?
So here's what I think. If the UFC wasn't going to suspend McGregor for the bus shenanigans he pulled earlier this year, I don't see why people think 10 days is an unfair thing. If they're not going to discipline McGregor for committing, a crime, 10 days, you shouldn't be surprised that the UFC does this. Do I think it's right? Not necessarily. But do I think it's fair? No. But at the same time, I'm just not surprised. And the UFC is looking to make money off this rematch. So endangering that would be bad.
I think that, so the Nevada Athletic Commission will meet again on the 24th of October once the investigation is further along to see if they should be indefinitely suspended, which they should be. I think after this 10 days is over, we'll see more suspensions. I want to set the record straight, though. On April 5th, Conor McGregor attacked Khabib's bus, a bus of a number of UFC fighters. That's fine. On April 4th, Khabib slapped one of Conor McGregor's teammates, Artem Lobov. People forget about that. Khabib started this, Conor did not, and that's what is overlooked. I hate to see it.
Either way, Khabib has threatened to leave the UFC if one of his teammates is fired, so that could unravel into an interesting scenario.
Which you could see, absolutely.
Odell Beckham Jr. decided he was over the kicking net and has shifted his focus to a fan on the sidelines as the subject of his seasonal meltdown. During the Giants' Thursday night loss to the Eagles, Beckham was seen yelling at the inanimate object during the game. Matt, what do the Giants need to do about Odell, and what do they need to do in general to turn the season around?
Odell Beckham is not the problem.
I agree.
Eli Manning is not the problem, and we'll get into that. There are so many problems in New York, and it doesn't start with Eli. It does not start with Odell. It starts with the offensive line, the defense, the play calling. There's so many problems, and you can't pin it all on one person, especially not two people who have been there through thick and thin in Eli and Odell.
At the same time, while I agree with the defense, 27th in points allowed, 24th, basically in the bottom half, if not the bottom 2/3 of the league, and all these stats on defense, they're walking on the field. There's no motivation by anyone not named Jenkins or Ogletree. And at the same time, while the offensive line is absolute trash,
yes.
Eli doesn't have the time to throw to Odell, but he's not using Odell in the same way. When you have the pocket collapsing like that, Eli's still throwing ducks. I don't think it's bad, but only one man is going to get you to turn the season around, and it's Saquon Barkley.
Odell's average catch position down the field was 6 yards past the line of scrimmage weeks 1 through 4. That was different in the Panthers game. He had a long touchdown. Look, Odell's not the problem. Everything else is the problem, not Odell. Look, and Eli we trust. Leave Eli alone.
This is all I got to say about that. But that's all the time we have left for the quick hitters.
When we come back, we'll talk some of the hottest players during the MLB postseason.